In the first 10 seconds, the aliens thought humans would beg. Instead, Earth answered with a single sentence that made a 10,000-year empire go quiet: "Come down and take it." The Kethri ascendancy had ruled starlanes for so long that most species forgot what resistance looked like. Their fleets were museums of victory. Their commanders learned war the way others learned math: clean, predictable, controlled. Overstrategist Vila Naresh stood on the command deck of the flagship Dawn of Authority. Around him, officers moved with calm confidence, their pale armor catching the light of holographic star maps. A small blue world rotated above the central table. Earth. It was listed in the archives as a Class 7, moderate hazard. Thick forests. Heavy gravity. Aggressive weather. Too wild for most species. The Kethri didn't fear wild worlds. They feared fast-growing rivals. Humans were growing like fire. In 2 centuries, humanity had spread beyond their sun, planting colonies on harsh moons and thin atmosphere rocks that older empires avoided. They traded with anyone who would sell. And they learned fast. Too fast. Naresh watched the human systems marked in bright red. "They expand without pause," said his chief analyst, Sailor Cure. "They do not wait to be comfortable." "Comfort makes creatures slow," Naresh replied. A junior officer stepped forward. "Transmission from Earth. Strategist. They request negotiation." Naresh did not even blink. "Begin Phase 1. Outside, the Kethri fleet moved into attack formation with perfect symmetry. Their opening strike was precise: orbital platforms first, then sensor arrays, then military satellites. They didn't waste energy on cities. They didn't need fear to win. They needed control. Human ships rose to meet them. They were smaller, faster, loud with messy engine flare. They fought like a storm, charging, dodging, firing missiles and kinetic rounds from angles the Kethri called inelegant. But storms break against mountains. Within hours, the space around Earth belonged to the Ascendancy. Naresh opened an all-frequency channel. His voice was translated into every major human language at once. "People of Earth. Your orbit is taken. Your defenses are broken. Surrender, and you will be governed. Resist, and you will be corrected." He waited for panic. He waited for pleading. He received silence. Then a human voice came through, steady, tired, and strangely calm, like someone speaking during a fire alarm they'd heard too many times. "This is Director Amora Voss of the United Terran Compact," the translator said. "We heard your terms. No. A pause. You want Earth? Come down and take it." Naresh's officers looked at one another. That wasn't how young species behaved. Young species bargained. Young species begged. Young species tried to survive. Humans sounded like they were inviting a fight. Sailor Cure stepped closer, her voice careful. "Strategist, humans have a history of internal wars. They are practiced in violence." Naresh's gaze stayed on the spinning planet. "Violence is common. Discipline is rare." Another officer displayed landing options. "We recommend main urban centers for shock and surrender." Naresh considered it, and rejected it. "No," he said. "We will cut their power and movement first. We will break their systems, not their pride. Land in regions that feed their machines." A new map lit up: hydro facilities, communications hubs, logistics corridors. One zone glowed green and endless. The Rain Sea, humans called it. A place of heat and water and living noise. "Deploy landing groups across multiple biomes," Naresh ordered. "Show them that their world is irrelevant." The drop ships descended like falling knives. Inside one of them, Captain HFY Talven tightened the straps on his armor harness. He had conquered 14 worlds. On most, the sky was clean and the ground was honest. This world felt heavy. The ship shook as it entered the atmosphere. Heat screamed across the hull. Gravity pulled like an angry hand. Talven's squad sat silent, their breathing measured. Their suits filtered Earth's oxygen-rich air. Their weapons were charged. Their implants tracked targets. 30 seconds, the pilot said. Talven stood. Remember, he told them, humans are ground-bound. They are not built for order. We are. The ramp dropped. Hot air rolled in like a wave. Wet, thick, alive. Green swallowed the horizon. It wasn't a forest. It was a wall. Vines looped like ropes. Trees rose like towers. The canopy blocked the sky so completely that daylight felt borrowed. Talven stepped down, and felt the weight immediately. His knees sank slightly into soft ground. Even in powered armor, every move cost more than it should. Perimeter, he ordered. The squad spread out. Their boots splashed in shallow water that looked like soil. Something buzzed near Talven's helmet. Something small touched the neck seal where it met skin. A sharp sting. Talven hissed and slapped at it. His glove came away with a smear of blood. Medic, he snapped. The medic scanned. Micro-puncture. An insect. It injected an anticoagulant. It drinks blood, a soldier asked. The jungle answered with sound, screeches, chirps, distant roars, a constant invisible movement. Talven set his jaw. Seal all suit gaps. The squad sealed tighter, and the heat inside their armor rose like a trapped furnace. Minutes later, 2 soldiers were breathing hard. Sweat pooled under their skin layers. Their cooling systems struggled in the humidity. Talven forced them forward anyway. They had a target, an energy facility along a river line. Then the jungle took its first payment. A soldier at the rear, Mech Solin, vanished with a sudden yank. No warning, no blast, no visible attacker. Just a jerk and a cut-off scream. Talven spun. Contact. The squad fired into the undergrowth. Leaves exploded. Mud sprayed. No enemy appeared. They pushed through and found Mech at the edge of a dark pool. Something was in the water. 2 yellow eyes, motionless, just above the surface. A jaw clamped Mech's leg like a steel trap and dragged him in. They fired again. Energy bolts struck water and steam hissed up. The creature released Mech and sank, leaving only ripples and blood. Talven stared at the torn armor, the clean bite, the missing lower half. This wasn't war. This was the planet itself. A compulse came through his helmet from orbit, other landing teams reporting. Casualties. Missing squads. Suit failures. Unknown predators. Talven's throat went dry. How is this moderate hazard? His second-in-command whispered, maybe their scouts never walked here. A shadow fell from above. Something long and muscular dropped from the canopy, coiling around Soldier Geravolt with crushing speed. Armor plates creaked. Bones inside tried to hold. Talven drew his blade and hacked at the thick-scaled body until it loosened. Gera did not rise. The jungle did not care about their rank. Talven looked up into the green darkness, hearing the world breathe around him. And for the first time in his life, he understood a simple truth. Earth was not defending humans. Earth was testing them. Far away, in a bunker beneath a human mountain range, Director Amora Voss watched the same reports with tired eyes. She turned to the people around her, scientists, soldiers, engineers, farmers pulled into command by necessity. They came here thinking we're trapped, she said. A young engineer, Noah Reyes, swallowed hard. We can't beat them in orbit. No, Voss agreed. So we don't fight them where they're strong. She pointed to the map of Earth. We fight them where we've been surviving since the first day we opened our eyes. She looked at the room. Welcome to the Deathworld. The first thing Captain RHSS Talven learned about Earth was this. It never stopped moving. The air moved. The ground shifted. The forest breathed. Nothing stayed still long enough to feel safe. Talven crouched behind the broken trunk of a massive tree, his armor scratched, his breathing heavier than it had ever been on any battlefield. Around him, what remained of 3rd Landing Squad formed a loose, nervous circle. 12 had landed. 7 were still alive. And none of them had seen a single human yet. This world is alive, one soldier whispered, scanning the shadows. It watches us. Talven did not argue. His combat display flashed warning after warning: heat stress, moisture infiltration, unknown biological residue on armor joints. Their suits were designed for clean worlds, not this wet, choking chaos. Above them, the canopy shook. Something moved fast. The squad raised weapons. Nothing appeared. Only laughter echoed faintly through the trees. Talven froze. "Did you hear that?" "Yes," his second replied. "Human vocalization." "No," Talven said slowly. "Too playful." A sharp crack split the air. One of the soldiers dropped, armor pierced clean through the shoulder. Not an energy weapon. Not a plasma bolt. A metal spike. Before they could react, more followed, whistling shapes tearing through leaves, embedding into armor plates, joints, sensors. Primitive weapons. Silent. Accurate. Contact. Talven roared. But the enemy wasn't visible. The shots came from everywhere and nowhere, bouncing, redirecting, striking from impossible angles. The jungle swallowed the attackers as soon as they fired. Then voices echoed again, human voices this time. Not yelling. Not panicked. Calm. "Now," someone said. The ground beneath two soldiers collapsed. They vanished into a pit camouflaged with leaves and soil. The fall was short. The landing wasn't. Wooden spikes, hardened by fire, punched through armor seals. Screams cut short. Talven backed away, heart hammering. They planned this. They knew where we'd walk. Another voice called out, "Closer now. You picked the wrong jungle." Talven fired blindly. His bolts burned foliage but hit nothing living. Then a shape moved, fast, upright, human. The human didn't wear heavy armor. Just layered fabric, dull colors, face streaked with mud. A visor over one eye. Something small in their hands. The human looked straight at Talven. And smiled. A flash. A loud crack. Talven's left sensor went dark. He stumbled, disoriented. The human was gone. Moments later, the jungle erupted with sound, not animals this time, but coordinated noise. Whistles. Clicks. Calls bouncing through the trees. They're communicating, Talven realized. Without tech. His remaining soldiers began to panic. That's when the rain started. Not gentle rain. A violent, pounding downpour that turned the ground into a river of mud within minutes. Their armor grew heavier. Cooling systems failed. Vision blurred. Talven opened a channel to orbit. "This is Captain Talven," he said, forcing calm into his voice. "We are under sustained attack by human ground forces. Request extraction or heavy support." The reply came late, and broken. "Negative," the fleet answered. "Atmospheric interference. Storm systems disrupting navigation. Hold position." Hold position. On a world that ate soldiers alive. Talven closed the channel and looked at his squad. "Move uphill," he ordered. "Water gathers low." They climbed, slipping, struggling, every step a fight. One soldier slipped and slid into a shallow stream. Before anyone could help, something snapped from the water and pulled him under. Blood surfaced. Talven didn't stop. By nightfall, they reached a rocky rise. Fewer trees. Better visibility. The jungle quieted. Too quiet. Talven knew better than to feel relief. Far from the battlefield, beneath kilometers of stone and steel, Director Amora Voss watched the same region light up on her displays. Casualty reports streamed in, from both sides. Human losses were real. Cities had been hit. Infrastructure damaged. Orbit was gone. But on the ground, the numbers favored Earth. A military ecologist spoke up. Alien biology isn't adapted for microbial density. Their immune systems are overloaded. A medic added, even sealed suits can't stop everything. Local bacteria are aggressive. An engineer leaned forward. We've rerouted weather control satellites to amplify storms in contested zones. Voss nodded. Good. Let Earth fight too. She turned to Noah Reyes, the young engineer whose hands shook even while he worked. How's the capture project? Noah swallowed. Risky. But we might pull it off. Voss allowed herself a thin smile. Humans have always been good at risky. Back on the ridge, Talven's squad tried to rest. That's when the sickness started. One soldier vomited inside his helmet. Another collapsed, muscles locking, sensors screaming internal errors. The medic ran scans, panic rising. I don't understand, the medic said. Their bodies are reacting to everything. Airborne spores. Water contact. Even surface microbes. Talven stared into the dark forest. You mean the planet is poisoning us? Yes. A low hum filled the air. Lights appeared in the distance. Soft, yellow, moving slowly uphill. Talven raised his weapon. The lights stopped. A human voice called out, amplified but calm. You're surrounded, the voice said. You've been surrounded since you landed. We just waited for the planet to soften you up. Talven stepped forward despite himself. You hide. You trap. You let beasts fight for you. Is this how humans wage war? A pause. Then the reply. No, the human said. This is how we survive. Figures emerged from the trees, dozens of them. Humans of different shapes and ages. Some wore military gear. Others wore repurposed civilian equipment. All moved with confidence born from familiarity. Talven realized something chilling. They weren't afraid of the jungle. They belonged to it. A woman stepped forward. Her face was lined, eyes sharp. I'm Commander Lena Okafor, she said. You invaded our home. Talven straightened, forcing dignity. This world will fall. Our fleets. She cut him off. Your fleets can't land supplies. Can't move freely. Can't stay long enough. She gestured to the forest. You brought an army to a place where everything wants you dead. Her soldiers raised their weapons, not energy rifles, but compact launchers, darts, coils, tools built from decades of adaptation. We'll give you a choice, Lena said. Leave now, while you still can. Or stay, and let Earth finish what we started. Talven looked at his remaining soldiers. Sick. Wounded. Terrified. For the first time, the thought crossed his mind. This war could be lost. Not because humans were stronger, but because they were prepared. Above them, unseen, something massive roared. Lena smiled slightly. Decision time, Captain. The sky over Earth changed color. Humans noticed it first, not with instruments, but with instinct. Clouds moved the wrong way. Winds argued with gravity. Storms formed where skies should have been clear, stacking into towering walls that glowed faintly with alien energy. The Kethri ascendancy had begun atmospheric suppression. From orbit, Vila Naresh watched the planet react like a wounded animal. Energy grids burned through cloud layers, forcing pressure systems into collision. Oceans swelled. Tectonic plates complained. It was not meant to destroy Earth. Not yet. It was meant to break human coordination. Deploy ground pacification waves, Naresh ordered. Flush them out. He still believed control was possible. That belief would cost him everything. On the surface, the storms helped more than they hurt. Commander Lena Okafor stood inside a reinforced valley hangar, listening to rain hammer the metal roof like artillery. Around her, humans worked in controlled chaos, scientists, soldiers, farmers, programmers. People who had never met before the invasion, now moving like parts of the same machine. Alien weather grids are overloading their own sensors, Noah Reyes reported, eyes locked on his screen. Their systems don't like unpredictability. Lena smirked. Then they picked the wrong planet. Behind them, the stolen Kethri ship rested in its cradle, no longer alien. Human markings covered its hull. Systems rerouted. Fail-safes rewritten. Captain HFY Talven stood nearby, guarded but no longer restrained. He had stopped resisting days ago. "Why haven't you killed me?" he asked quietly. Lena didn't look at him. "Because you're more useful alive." He hesitated. "You're planning something." "Yes." "You intend to strike orbit." She turned to him. "We intend to end this." Talven's voice dropped. "You cannot defeat the Ascendancy fleet." Lena met his eyes. "No. But we can trap it." The plan was simple, which made it terrifying. Humans would do what they had always done best: use broken systems against themselves. Noah and his team discovered that Kethri ships relied on synchronized command lattices. Every vessel constantly communicated with every other, sharing data, corrections, and authority. It made them efficient. It also made them fragile. "All we need is one valid command node inside their network," Noah explained. "One ship they trust." Talven swallowed. "The stolen vessel." "Yes," Lena said. "You're flying it." His eyes widened. "I'm a prisoner." "You're a captain," she replied. "And this is still your ship to them." Silence stretched. Finally, Talven exhaled. "If this works, the Ascendancy will never be the same." Lena nodded. "Neither will we." The stolen ship lifted again, this time climbing straight through storm clouds and into orbit. Kethri sensors detected it instantly. Identification confirmed. An officer reported aboard Naresh's flagship. "Returning damaged vessel requesting reintegration." Naresh studied the feed. "Allow it." The ship slipped into formation. Inside, Noah's hands shook as he activated the final sequence. "Network handshake complete," he whispered. "We're in." Across the fleet, data flowed. Human code hid inside alien logic, invisible, patient. Then Lena spoke. "Now." The command lattice twisted. Ships received conflicting orders. Engines throttled up and down. Weapons armed, then disarmed. Defensive grids misaligned. Naresh slammed his claws into the console. "Override. Isolate the network." Too late. The Ascendancy fleet stalled, hundreds of ships locked in disagreement with themselves. From Earth's surface, something answered. Humans launched. Not fleets. Ideas. Old chemical rockets carrying electromagnetic disruptors. Repurposed satellites detonated in precise orbits. Weather-driven lightning strikes amplified by ground-based coils. The sky became chaos. Ships collided. Shields failed. Navigation collapsed. Naresh watched his empire choke on its own perfection. "This is impossible," Sailor Kua whispered. "No," Naresh said, hollow. "This is human." Talven felt the ship shake violently. "We're losing stability." Noah shouted. Lena grabbed a rail. "Hold it together." Outside, the stolen ship dove, slipping through gaps only a human pilot would risk. Behind them, Ascendancy vessels fired blindly, some striking their own allies. The fleet that had ruled for 10,000 years tore itself apart. Then silence. Orbit was no longer controlled. It was emptying. Damaged ships fled. Others burned. Some went dark forever. Earth still stood. In the aftermath, Director Amora Voss addressed what remained of the Ascendancy fleet on an open channel. Her voice was calm. "This war is over," she said. "Not because we destroyed you, but because you learned something you can't unlearn." She paused. "You came to conquer a Deathworld." Another pause. "You survived because we let you leave." The channel closed. Talven stood beside Lena as the last alien ships retreated. "You could have wiped us out," he said. Lena looked at Earth below, the storms, the lights, the fragile, stubborn beauty. "Yes," she replied. "But then we'd just be another empire." She turned away. "We're something else." Above and below, the galaxy watched. And understood. The rain stopped just before dawn. On Earth, that usually meant something worse was coming. Captain HFY Talven stood with his hands restrained by a flexible human binding that felt soft but refused to break. Around him, The last survivors of his squad sat on the damp ground, watched by humans who looked far too relaxed for people standing in a battlefield. No cages. No chains. Just trees, mud, and quiet confidence. Commander Lena Okafor crouched in front of Talven, studying his face like a mechanic examining a broken engine. "You're not stupid," she said. "So don't pretend you don't see it." Talven lifted his chin. "You cannot win a war against the Ascendancy." Lena nodded. "True." That answer confused him. She continued, "So we're not fighting the Ascendancy. We're fighting time, physics, and your assumptions." Talven frowned. "Explain." "You came here thinking war means fleets, firepower, and surrender ceremonies," Lena said. "For us, war means surviving long enough to learn." She stood and signaled. From the trees, a massive shape emerged. Talven's breath caught. A Kethri dropship, one of theirs, sat half-hidden under camouflage netting made from foliage, thermal dampeners, and reflective mud. Its hull was scorched, one engine torn open, but it was mostly intact. Talven stared. "That ship was shot down." "No," Lena corrected. "It landed." His eyes widened. "Impossible. Your weapons." "Didn't shoot it," she said. "We tricked it." She waved Noah Reyes forward. He looked younger than Talven expected. Too young. Noah cleared his throat. "We flooded your sensors with false terrain echoes using weather balloons, drone swarms, and old satellite debris. Your autopilot thought the ground was stable." Talven's mind raced. "You forced a controlled landing." "Yes," Noah said, a hint of pride breaking through his nerves. "Then the jungle did the rest." Talven felt something crack inside him. These humans weren't just surviving. They were learning in real time. Orbit was not faring much better. Overstrategist Vila Naresh stared at the damage reports in growing disbelief. Landing groups were failing across multiple zones. Casualties were climbing. Supplies were being lost. Communication delays were increasing. "Explain," Naresh demanded. Sailor Kua hesitated. "The planet's biological density is interfering with systems. And humans are adapting faster than predicted." Naresh's jaw tightened. "They have no orbital control." "No," Sailor agreed. "But they don't seem to need it." A technician spoke up. "Strategist, we just lost contact with drop ship Theta 7. Naresh turned slowly. "Destroyed." "No," the technician said. "Its transponder is still active. But it's moving. Under human control." Silence filled the command deck. "That is not possible," Naresh said. But it was. Back on the ground, Noah and his team worked inside the captured ship. Alien symbols glowed across curved consoles. The air smelled metallic and sharp. Human tools lay scattered among technology meant to last centuries. Noah wiped sweat from his face. Their systems are layered, but logical. They expect users to think the same way they do. "And you don't?" Lena asked. Noah smiled weakly. "Humans assume everything is broken until proven otherwise." He tapped a control. The ship hummed. Lights stabilized. Power rerouted. "It's responding," someone whispered. A cheer tried to rise. Lena silenced it immediately. No noise. No celebration. This isn't a victory. It's a lesson. Talven watched from the edge, disbelief growing heavier than Earth's gravity. "You shouldn't be able to do this," he said quietly. Noah looked at him. "We shouldn't be able to do a lot of things. But Earth doesn't care what should happen." He paused, then added, "Neither do we." The first stolen ship lifted off at sunset. It rose slowly, carefully, guided by hands that had never touched alien controls before that day. Its heat signature was masked. Its transponder rewritten. From orbit, it looked like just another damaged Kethri vessel drifting off course. Naresh noticed too late. "Intercept that ship," he ordered. But confusion spread through the fleet. Identification codes conflicted. Sensor readings didn't match known profiles. Command protocols hesitated. In that hesitation, the human-controlled ship vanished into the cloud cover. For the first time in 10,000 years, a Kethri warship was lost. Not destroyed. Taken. Inside the stolen ship, Lena stood behind Noah as he guided them toward a hidden mountain valley. "You realize what this means," she said. Noah nodded. "We can study their tech without waiting for scraps. We can understand how they think. And once we do..." Noah swallowed. "Then we stop reacting. We start planning." Lena looked out at the clouds. "Good. Because they'll escalate now." She was right. In orbit, Vila Naresh made a decision he had avoided his entire career. "Authorize atmospheric suppression," he said. Sailor's eyes widened. "Strategist, that will destabilize weather systems globally." "Yes," Naresh replied. "Humans rely on their planet. We will turn it against them." He paused. "And prepare full planetary occupation protocols." On Earth, alarms rang across bunkers and command centers. Director Amora Voss listened calmly as reports came in: storms intensifying, tectonic stress increasing, orbital weapons charging. "They're angry," Noah said over comms. Voss nodded. "Good." She leaned forward. "That means they still think this is their war to win." She turned to Lena's channel. "How long until the ship is ready?" Lena glanced at Noah. "Sooner than they expect." Voss smiled for the first time since the invasion began. "Then let's teach the galaxy something." She straightened. "Humans don't need to dominate the stars." A pause. "We just need to make sure the stars never underestimate us again." Above Earth, alien fleets shifted into heavier formations. Below, humans worked faster than fear. And the Deathworld watched. Patient. Hungry. The galaxy did not go quiet after the war. It held its breath. Across hundreds of systems, sensors replayed the same impossible data, an ancient empire retreating from a single world. Not destroyed. Not conquered. Repelled. And the reason spread faster than any fleet ever could. Earth. The Deathworld. Vila Naresh stood alone on the observation deck of a crippled flagship drifting far from human space. The Ascendancy fleet was scattered, broken into fragments that no longer trusted one another. His empire still existed, but it would never again move as one. Sailor Kua approached quietly. "The Council requests your presence, strategist." Naresh did not turn. "They want explanations. They want reassurance." He let out a slow, tired breath. "I can give them neither." Below him, stars burned cold and distant. For the first time in his long life, Naresh understood fear, not the sharp fear of battle, but the deeper kind. The fear of being outgrown. "Humans didn't defeat us with strength," he said softly. "They defeated us with adaptation." Sailor nodded. "They turned their weaknesses into tools." "They turned their planet into a weapon," Naresh replied. "And their mercy into a warning." On Earth, life continued, scarred, shaken, but unbroken. Cities rebuilt while storms still faded. Fields replanted where orbital strikes had burned the soil. Children played under skies that had nearly fallen. Humans did not celebrate for long. They never did. In a global assembly broadcast from a rebuilt chamber, Director Amora Voss stood before billions. "We survived," she said. "Not because we were chosen. Not because we were special." She paused, letting the words settle. "We survived because we refused to stop learning." Around her stood people from every background: engineers, soldiers, medics, farmers, teachers. Not heroes by legend. Heroes by necessity. "We didn't win by being stronger," Voss continued. "We won by being human." Commander Lena Okafor watched the broadcast from the mountain hangar that had once hidden the stolen ship. The vessel was gone now, returned, dismantled, studied, its lessons shared freely. Beside her stood Noah Reyes, older somehow, despite only weeks having passed. "Do you think they'll come back?" he asked. Lena considered the question. Yes, she said honestly. Someday. Someone will. Noah frowned. Then what? She smiled faintly. Then we'll be ready again. Captain HFY Talven stood in a different place now, aboard a neutral station on the edge of human-controlled space. He was no longer a prisoner. He was an envoy. When asked why the Ascendancy had retreated, Talven gave the same answer every time. Because Earth is not a world you conquer, he said. It is a world that teaches. And when pressed further, he added quietly, humans are not dangerous because they seek war. They are dangerous because they survive it. Months later, a signal echoed across known space. Not a threat. Not a demand. An invitation. It carried maps, data, warnings, and one simple message encoded in hundreds of languages. This is Earth. We do not seek empires. We do not fear the stars. Come in peace. Come prepared. Species listened. Empires recalculated. Explorers hesitated. Because every record now carried the same footnote. Deathworld. Yes. Dominant species. Human. Threat level. Situational. Adaptability. Extreme. On a quiet hillside under a clearing sky, Lena watched the sun set behind trees that had survived fire, storms, and invasion. Earth had always been harsh. That was its gift. That was its lesson. Humans did not need to rule the galaxy. They only needed to remind it of one truth. Never underestimate a species forged by a world that tried to kill them every day, and failed. The stars burned on. And somewhere out there, someone remembered Earth. And chose caution.